Hello, YouTube.
Hello.
How we doing?
Hello, YouTube.
All good? How is everyone on this fine Thursday evening for another episode of the Killer Comic Show?
Very well, thank you, Charlie.
All good?
This is literally the highlight of my week, Charles.
I know, you've been saying it's been a busy week for you, isn't it, mate?
Hey, guys,
It's been
happy
busy.
Earth Day.
Yeah.
Here's some flowers.
Cheers.
Here's some artificial flowers to celebrate Earth Day.
Here's some plastic flowers.
I'm garden from my well.
Good on you.
My Cockney well.
Oh,
I don't know if that's a euphemism for something else. So. But,
It is
Moving
now.
on.
how you doing though? All right? Good?
Yeah, much better for hearing about your Cockney well.
Well, we'll have to do like a Killer Comic Show late night to explore the escapades of my Cockney well. Now that lockdown's over and stuff.
Dive deep into it.
I would not take a sip from that.
We haven't. Who have we got in the chat tonight? We've got Captain Comics. I think it's his birthday
Happy
coming up.
birthday.
It is.
Happy birthday to you.
Happy
birthday.
I've got to say, I did like his Instagram
Well,
post.
guys, I think we should probably stick to the YouTubing rather than starting a quartet.
Well, I don't know. We're saying that, but I mean, that sounded pretty harmonious. And I mean, and it went pretty well.
You can't even say harmonious.
Harmonious.
I do enjoy some hummus.
Hummus from a Cockney well, but it did go well with Captain Comics' nip slip on Instagram, so we'll give him that.
The thing is, I haven't even caught up with that yet. So all that happened is I got tagged in a picture of Captain Comics in a coconut bikini with a nipple, like making.
And then he's selling it for 10 shillings as well. But we've got Captain Comics.
That was actually going to be my entry for Peaches of the Week.
Oh, you should have done that.
I am.
Who else have we got? We've got myself. We've got the Oracle, or one of the Oracles anyway.
This guy.
We've got the Noob. We have the Poptimist. Great show. Thanks for coming on last week, Darren. It was great.
Yeah,
thanks.
awesome.
I know he was like a fish out of water, mate. So I apologise for that, but thanks for coming on. We've got Tyler. We've got Tyler. Well, I just joined to Cockney well. Yes, this Cockney is all well and good. So how's your week been? I mean, Andy, I know you've been busy. You finished literally 15 minutes ago. Ben, I know you decided just to take some annual leave because you probably didn't get enough over lockdown. So busy week, yeah?
That's out of order, guys.
Wow.
FYI, I had a period of sickness and furlough, and Charlie has just had a dig at me about that on live on the internet.
I actually wasn't having a dig at you about that. I'm just loving the fact that
I hope you drown in your Cockney well.
I will, and the thing is, I won't be able to get out of it because of my dodgy leg. So I'll be stuck down this well. And it's sod's law. We was in lockdown. I could have got injured any time, but the first week back out of being locked down, I played football, do my leg.
Ben, this is why Charlie isn't like a line manager or anything like that. Can you imagine you coming back to your 1-to-1 with Charlie?
It'd be a walking disaster for HR. Although not walking at the moment.
It'd be a hobbling disaster.
Yeah, but I mean, yeah, it was fun. It's been all right. Like, yeah, it's just annoying that I can't walk properly, so I can actually do a properly Cockney stroll with one leg, so I can basically sign on and get back to work.
I get my vaccine next week, which I'm looking forward to.
Yeah.
So get my first vaccine next Friday. So I see what I'll mutate into.
I'm looking for. I haven't even had mine. I'm not even been considered.
Well, I've had my first jab, and look, nothing happened to me.
Phil's highlight that guy.
He's just dribbling. He's just dribbling a bit. But I've got to say, I thought it was quite a good week for comics.
I think it was. I think it feels like a positive week. Yeah,
it does feel
50-50.
It was. I've very much looked forward to this show. Like the comics that we chose to read, minus one or two, seriously enjoyed. Some of them,
50% of them.
50%, especially Stray Dogs. Have you read that yet, Andy?
Not yet. It is on my list to read.
I have to say, I didn't see it coming, and I was left gobsmacked.
Oh,
I
really?
mean, we laughed about this when the first comic come up, and it's Stray Dogs #1. I think it was you guys. I think James from Comic Deal was on, and he was like, "Oh, what's this? It's bloody like All Dogs Go to Heaven meets bloody Battersea Dog Zone or something like that." It's a great. I'm really enjoying it. I think it's a great comic. And #3, just
first issue, I wasn't a huge fan of. I think I just couldn't relate to puppies. That sounded a
we
lot
can all
worse
relate
than-
to puppies, no?
No, I mean, I was just thinking about the captain there, about his puppies. But yeah, no, issue 1 I didn't really enjoy that much, but issue 2 was fantastic, and what I've heard from about issue 3, it sounds awesome. So yeah, looking forward to it.
It's great. You know what I kind of envisage could be really cool if they made an animated film that did it like complete like Disney style animation, which is what the the artwork kind of lends itself to. So, but obviously the theme of it is very much not Disney. It appears. That's what I want to say.
No, it's not, and I think I mean we've got 4 comics on the list tonight. We've got. What have we got? We've got Women of Marvel issue #1, which was Ben's choice. We've got the Old Guard Tales Through Time, which was my choice. And we've got The Many Deaths of Layla Starr, which was Andy's choice. And then we all got together and we decided to do Ha Ha 4 as well, which is always a good read. So I think without further ado, we should just jump straight into Marvel. See, look, I've gone all out. Look, I've spent some time on this today.
Wow, production.
So basically, we had this was Women of Marvel issue #1. There was a few covers out this week. We had cover A by Sarah Pichelli. We had the Peach Momoko variant. We had the Maria Wolf variant. We had the Stephanie Hans trade dress variant A, Stephanie Hans Virgin variant B. Ben, is this one you're fond of?
Yes, yeah. Anyone who has not yet watched my video that celebrates this comic and the various variants for it, then please do. If you think Rogue looks good there, then you watch my video.
Look at that for a segue. Look at that for a segue.
Nice.
I mean, after seeing your video, Ben, I was much more attracted to the Rogue of you than I am the Stephanie Hans one. So that is a positive. We have the Ji Hyung Lee trade dress variant A. We have the Ji Hyung Lee Virgin variant B.
It's almost like I'm being transported back to Monday afternoon.
This is it. Just in case you missed it.
Some more.
This is it. We've got the fantastic Shannon Mare with the trade dress variant A, and of course we have a Virgin variant B. That's not all, folks. Oh, that is it. That is it.
Spoilers.
No. So anyway, right. So this one, Ben, this was your comic of choice. Would you like to talk us through it?
Yes. Obviously, I featured it in my video. I was very excited about this. I think it's. Am I right in saying it's not the first volume? It's not the first time they've done this.
No,
I feel like they might have done this a couple before. I might be wrong. Someone in the chat may be able to correct me or affirm my beliefs. But yeah, it's always nice to kind of see a celebration of those female characters, and I think Marvel has such a repertoire of fantastic female characters, debatably more than DC, I'd say. So the only thing about this that I was always wary of was the collection of short stories element to it and how many there were going to be. So I kind of thought from cover A that we were only going to get, I think it's like 5 characters explored. Turns out there was a lot more, and some of these stories are literally like a page long or 2 pages long. And I was slightly disappointed by that. And I did feel some of the characters in this book were cheapened and kind of almost put across in quite a gimmicky way. I think characters that are quite serious, you know, and then put across in a gimmicky way. Not every story was like that, but some were. So yeah, I was slightly disappointed by that, but I was, you know, I think it's great, and I think, you know, if my little girl was going into the comic book shop and, you know, saw this, I think it's important to kind of have little moments like this of celebration. And I know that Marvel have, in terms of their kind of diversity, that they've done like Marvel Voices recently, which was sort of similar, you know, set up, but obviously covering characters from different backgrounds. So yeah, I think it's important, but don't pick this book up if you are expecting a beginning, middle, and end structure to your stories, because yeah, some of them are not like that. I liked the She-Hulk versus Rhino was probably my favourite story. So we got She-Hulk versus Rhino, which what looked like a museum of natural history or something. And I also like the Marrow and Feral story. I'm a big fan of Marrow anyway, so I'm always happy to pick a bone with her. And I also popped, which is a wrestling fan term for like get excited, at the Jurassic Park reference. Did you notice that?
Yeah.
So there's a story with Mystique and Stegron. If you don't know who Stegron is, Google it and you won't regret it. He's one of Marvel's finest. How they haven't done a Stegron movie yet, I don't know. But yeah, in that story, two of the characters that are like captured by Stegron are basically dressed as like Dr. Alan Grant and oh god, my mind's gone blank. So yeah, that was really cool. So I'm going to let you rant now because I know you both are. I mean, I can see Andy's literally just wound himself up there, ready to unleash.
I'm like a coiled spring at the minute, Ben. I don't know, Charlie. Do you want to go first?
No, go on. I'm all right. Go on. You can go around. I've been looking forward to your review, so go for it, mate. I'm just going to sit back and
review.
So this is a bit of a challenging one because of the subject matter. So I went into this book having no expectations at all. I didn't know that it was actually short stories, and yes, that was one of the things that bothered me about the book. But I got 16 pages into this book, and it's the first book that I've actually not completed as part of Killer Comics. I expect. Yeah, no. As a father of two young daughters, if I'm going to be giving them a book or a comic to read, I want the book to empower them, is to teach them, to tell them stories, and also to tell them the story of togetherness and working together, as opposed to a kind of a us and them type situation. And you know what you're getting when you're getting into a book that's called Women of Marvel. At least you would expect to know what you're getting, but I didn't get any of that. And maybe I'm not in a position to comment on it because I am male, but for the Killer Comics show I'm going to, I thought it was absolute rubbish from the 16 pages that I had to endure of the 49 pages according to my iPad. And it was actually the first page of it, is it the foreword or whatever you call it, which talks about in the olden days of Marvel, the voices were mostly male. I mean, that was the first sentence. And I was like, all right, okay, here we go. Marvel Comics was dominated by people who founded it. Stan Lee, Jack Kirby, Steve Ditko. So that stopped me in my tracks straight away, even before I'd like swiped the page to see what it had to offer. And then what I was provided with was just a more or less an excuse for a free comic book day giveaway book, full of various characters who deserve better. And again, it was just another hit in the shit box for Marvel, as far as I'm concerned. So this is the beauty of Killer Comics and the beauty of us guys, because we all like different things, and it'd be a really boring show if we liked the same things. But I was just sorely disappointed with this. I expected so much more, and it was anything but empowering for women and for the story that they were trying to tell. So that was kind of my view on it. Sorry, guys. Sorry, I'm going to back off now.
No, I mean, you're clearly sat on the fence about it. So,
well, guys, for everyone that's joined in the chat, that's been a great show. I look forward to seeing you all back next week, and thanks for tuning in.
If anything, you get honesty, guys. You get honesty from me. I know people aren't going to agree with me and aren't going to like my point of view, but with this one, I felt quite strongly about it.
Really? You can't tell. You can't tell.
Oh, this was the top of the shitbox for 2021, guys. So
if I can take anything away from your saying it, Sandy, it has to be this.
Yeah.
Hit in the shit box.
It was a slam dunk.
So Andy hates women. Got it.
Yeah, I actually second guess myself by having this point of view about the book, because that's instantly going to be people's reaction to it.
No, I don't think you should worry about that. I think if it's a bad book, it's a in your eyes sort of thing, it's a bad book, and I definitely see your point. I think I after picking it and then reading it, I definitely was coming into tonight thinking, I've got to defend this now somehow. And yeah, whilst three white guys aren't exactly the best qualified to kind of have an opinion on on the subject matter, I think empowerment is important, and I think not allowing those characters the time to breathe within their stories completely took away from that. And that's what I was saying about the whole gimmicky thing. Like, I pretty much nine out of 10 stories or however were gimmicky. I think there was only one or two that really had any kind of true meaning to the character.
Would you not agree, Ben, that it was just a bit pointless? It was pretty pointless. I mean, like if I was given this book as a free comic book day book, I'd probably give it back.
Mm-hmm.
I still think it's important. I still think it's like we're looking at this as like middle-aged guys. You know what I mean? Like I still think if you were a 12-year-old girl, like or younger or whatever, then you're not necessarily going to need that kind of deeper level of storytelling. And
that's true.
You are maybe going to open that page that has I don't know, Misty Knight on it and go, oh my god, who's that girl?
In the same argument, though, Ben, I don't need to be reading about the olden days and the guys like Steve Ditko and Stan Lee who were largely male and dominating Marvel at that particular time.
Well, I've got to be honest, I didn't read the foreword because I'm not bright enough to read anything unless it's in a speech bubble. So I didn't read the foreword, but yeah, I can imagine how that wording is going to irk some people. I definitely think, we need to kind of acknowledge those moments of history that,
absolutely, 100%.
weren't great. And I think, notably so at the moment, the Shang-Chi film is really interesting because they're pretty much having to reinvent that whole character because all of that original text is so problematic and like stereotypical. So, I think it's always worth putting your hands up and saying, right, we were wrong. But yeah, to kind of go in, by the sounds of it, that's quite a head-on attack on three guys that, might not have been perfect, are still the founders of what we all know and love and talk about every Thursday night, today. So I get your point. I think I'm trying to be diplomatic, but I'm finding it really, I feel like Lib Dem in a coalition right now, and I'm just going to cave and maybe join your side. So Charlie, what did you think?
Oh, okay. So obviously it is, I agree with both of you. I agree with Andy. I literally got 21 pages in and was like, had to do the kids' bedtime, and I was like, normally if that happens, I'll go back to the comic. This one weren't happening. There's 11 stories in it. We've got Manny, Operation Spyglass. She's got the look, creacious, flirtatious, good hair, Saturday Morning in Harlem, Wild Rhino Chase, Water when needs watering, Give a Cat a Bone, The goddess of death sleeps tonight and date night, right? So they're the 11 stories. And then the premise of all these stories is who run the world, you already know. Celebrate a woman of Marvel with an extravaganza of extraordinary talent. So, as Andy said, it doesn't get my back up at the start of this comic with a foreword about like, yes, we know who wrote Marvel, we know who come with the concept of Marvel, etc., etc. We know women are out there. We know women are writing this. Every single story is written by a woman in this comic. It's women of Marvel, so it's obviously the characters, the stories, the artists. It's all female driven. There's nothing wrong with that at all, right? But when it's shoved down your throat like this, it's kind of like, it's like, do you know what I mean? Like, we know that women are equal and stuff like that. So it's kind of like, okay, we get that. But they're pointless stories. They're going nowhere. The whole point of reading a comic is so you can involve yourself and immerse yourself in a world where you think this is going, I'm really enjoying this is going somewhere. I'm looking forward to how these characters are going to progress, how they're going to evolve and stuff. There's nothing in this comic that I want to see again. Do you know what I mean? The only thing that I kind of enjoyed for them 21 pages was the different art of each story. That was basically it. I mean,
you know what I would love to have seen? I would have loved to have seen maybe this book being a random team up of like 5, female characters from different areas of the, the Marvel universe, and they kind of have to come together for a really random adventure. And I think I would have preferred that. I think it was just too much shoehorned in, and obviously the approach is not sat, well with us guys, and we're well, not me. But like you guys are. I'd describe you as liberal. You know what I mean? So imagine how like some of our other YouTubers, not mentioning any names, and other Donald Trump supporters might react to this book. Do you know what I mean? So I think you definitely have to be cautious if you're, because it's something that does need to be talked about, and women do need to be represented, maybe better and things like that. But I think, the way you kind of approach that, maybe don't slag off Steve Ditko and Stanley in the first sentence.
But I think it's fair with it. Like I don't think like the first story, which was a 1-page story, and after
That's
reading the foreword,
ones, I think, if I remember,
is when Lady Deathstroke is in a nail salon, and that's it. So
and she can't find her keys.
So you can't talk on
that annoyed me so much as well. Lady Deathstroke is like, she's supposed to be like absolute pure, cold-hearted, like killer, assassin. Like literally, she's been tortured, ripped apart, put that together. She's got identity issues because of all that. She's such a deep, interesting, scary character. And they had her in a nail bar.
She's drinking a cup of tea in a nail bar and can't find her keys.
I completely agree with you, Andy, and that is a prime example of where they got it wrong. But I think there were stories where they did it right. I think the Misty Knight one was really good, and I think the She-Hulk one was fantastic as well. And the Marrow Feral one was good as well, because it was kind of, it was good.
Do you think this is coming to like a lot of stuff now? Like we see all these variant covers. Like they're fantastic covers by Shannon Mayer and Stephanie Hans and Peach Momoko and stuff like that. Do you kind of think it sets the reader up for a fall because you're like, oh, look at this cover? Like obviously there's stories out there and these artists are paid to do it and they've got nothing to do with like their variant covers. They've got nothing to do with the story and stuff like that. But do you think there's certainly the last couple, especially this comic, there's so many nice covers out, like the Storm one, the Rogue one. They're amazing covers. But then the story just lets it down. So it can clearly just be a cover buy.
Oh, without doubt, yeah. I mean, I purchased the Peach Momoko cover, so I'm as guilty for that as anything. So I'll never get that £4.50 back. But I guess from a DC perspective, we kind of complain whenever there's like a side story after Batman. that actually has a little bit of context, a little bit of, you know, meat to the bone. So can you imagine my horror whenever I picked up this Marvel book and there was 11 of those or 12 of those in one book, some of them 1 page long, and I'm looking at Lady Deathstroke in a nail bar? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, it's maybe worth having a longer chat about it at some point, because I think the comic industry now is that variant market, and it's just so kind of like, it's such a cash grab thing, and we are the victims because, you know, like Andy said, we buy these beautiful covers because they are beautiful to have, and I know it's something Hydra Collectibles has spoke about in one of his ramblings, where he's said about, you know, should you buy a book for the cover or the story and stuff. So it's a really kind of interesting debate. I think, do you know what would be good? Like a limit on variants. Like each book, you have your cover A, maybe 2 variants, and that's it. That's all you're ever allowed on any book. The thing is, look at like Vampirella. Vampirella every week has like incredible variants, like, and like it takes 15 minutes of Charlie's video on a Monday. It's going through the Vampirella covers.
It does. It does.
Some of them are stunning, but who reads Vampirella?
I know.
Or I'm waiting for a tirade of Vampirella fans now.
No, but I totally get what you mean, but I would rather. I mean, let's be honest. Like, there's covers out there that don't do the story justice, and then there's comics out there where the cover does more justice than the story. I guess you've got to find a fine balance. But is it the fact of like Marvel knew it was going to be a rubbish story? They knew it weren't going to do as well, so they just got these fantastic artists to sell the covers. People are going to go in, going to be fans of these artists and think, oh, I'm going to get that. And then they're just like, oh no, done.
I guess it's when the story isn't great or the comic isn't great, that's one thing. But I guess whenever there's fantastic covers and the actual premise that it's trying to portray isn't even justified either. It isn't backed up by the content of those stories. So I guess it was kind of like a double hit in that case. But yeah, looking forward to issue 2.
Do you know what's tricky is empowerment means different things to different people. So each of those writers have all got an idea of what, you know, female empowerment means to them. And I guess it's hard because if they were to kind of narrow it down into one story, you know, Gamora fighting, you know, 30 soldiers or whatever, that might be empowerment to one woman, but then, you know, Emma Frost like serving, looking like an absolute queen, is empowerment to another woman. So, and to me.
Do you remember the good old days when we just spoke about how good or bad Doomsday Clock was? And the last week we had Home. This week we've got Women of Marvel issue number 1. My goodness, guys, we're going deep.
We really are going deep, and I think on that we should probably move on to, what did we have next? We had The Many Lives of Layla Starr. Now this is by Boom Studios. We had cover A by Felipe Andrada, cover B by David Mack, which was the Death foil variant cover. We had the 1 in 25 Anand RK incentive variant, and we had the 1 in 50 David Mack Eternal Death foil incentive variant cover, the In-Ho Lee variant cover. This is my favourite one. And then the 1 in 100 David Mack Black Death foil incentive variant. Andy, this was your comic. Great comic.
Yeah, I thought this was fantastic. Ram V very rarely disappoints who was writing the book. And the fact that it was Boom Studios, Boom Studios obviously have that, you know, premise where anything they touch turns to gold, and this is no exception. Actually, looking at that David Mack cover, having read the story now, it actually would make me go and buy that cover just because of the character that's on it and the fact it's a cracking cover. So yeah, I didn't know what to expect, but because it's a 5-issue run, it was one of those ones where I was going to just give it a try, see where it went. and I thought the artwork in this was very much stylized. I think that's something that we spoke about, Ben. But it absolutely perfectly matched the story. Color work in this was absolutely stunning. Some of the best color work that I've seen. And story wise, for me, it was quite heavy on the reading. There was quite a lot of words to take in, and it was doing a lot of character building at that particular point. But it was one of those ones, especially that little twist at the end. The last sort of panel, last page was just like, okay, give me the second issue as quickly as possible, because this is going to be fantastic. So for me, I would highly recommend that you go and give this a try if it's one that you maybe missed, because I don't think there was a huge amount of hype about this book. But again, Ram V absolutely killed it for me.
Ben?
Yeah, annoyingly so, Andy has once again introduced me to an indie comic that I really, really enjoyed. The stylized artwork, you know, when I first look at it, I'm always a little bit put off. But as I kind of went through those pages, you know, that stylized art really kind of matched up with the story and the feel of the book. It was just so witty. Like, it really kind of hit my like dark sense of humor level, which I kind of loved. And have you guys ever seen, what is it called? Oh, God, you know, it's basically about the afterlife and about going to heaven, and it's got Kirsten.
I know what you're talking about.
You know what I'm talking about. Anyway, it reminded me a lot of that, of like very kind of supernatural, like kind of high concept kind of mythology, but played out on a really kind of like subtle, like almost like The Office level. Which I always love, that kind of juxtaposition. So yes, I just said juxtaposition. You're watching the Killer Comic Show. The Asian religion, is it Sikh or Hindu? I'm not sure, because I'm really uncultured. I'm an uncultured swine. But it was nice to kind of see that in a kind of mainstream media like comic books, because I don't think we see enough of that. You know, you often see like, oh, this is a version of Jesus or whatever, like, but it was nice to kind of see those other gods explored, and in a really original setting as well. You know, Mumbai, again, it's like, how many stories do we see told in New York or San Francisco? Mumbai, like, and I think the use of color and the kind of stylized art, it really kind of added to that busyness, that like kind of chaoticness of Mumbai, and the color and everything. It was just great. And yeah, that little twist at the end really kind of sold that second issue to me. And to be honest, I haven't seen some of these covers, but that David Mack stuff,
stunning.
Yeah. I'm all about that.
What one did you get, Andy? This one?
I got cover A and cover B.
Yeah, they're nice. See, I like the In-Ho Lee one and the David Mack one, I think.
The David Mack is just absolutely stunning.
But cover B is awesome as well. Like the 1 in 25.
Yeah, no, they're all absolutely fantastic, and it's one of those ones that you appreciate the covers more once you've read the story and get introduced to the characters, and that's the sign of a great story and a great book.
Yeah.
But I've got to say, like, I really enjoyed it. Like when you, because you picked another comic to begin with, didn't you? That by a Behemoth.
I did. We promised them Darkness.
And I've seen more posts on Instagram about that than I have about this.
Yeah.
And I was really surprised with this comic. Like, it's by Ram V, so it's always gonna be good. And he rarely.
What other stuff has he done?
He's done like the Wicked, the Dreaming, the stuff like that. Is it the Divine?
He's done the last book that I'm trying to think now. I've had a brain fart. Done a Man Thing. He's doing Man Thing. He's doing Man Thing at the minute.
Okay.
Yeah.
He's done Swamp Thing. Is
Swamp,
it Swamp?
Swamp Thing.
Swamp Thing as well.
I was going to say Man Thing. You all really loved Man Thing.
Yeah. I got my things mixed up.
But I mean, the artist he's got on it, Felipe Andrada, he's done Captain Marvel as well. So I think he's either done Captain Marvel or he's working on the current run of Captain Marvel as well. But this was it was a great comic. It was like that fine line between life and death and how quickly it can be taken away from you.
This is my new favourite character.
Yeah, he was
this
great.
guy.
So you've gone from being Bartleby as your spirit character to the three-faced god.
Oh, don't get me started on Bartleby and Haha. That's for the end. That was
I just fell in love with Death. Never thought I'd say that out loud. But I really did. I'm head over heels with Death.
She's cool. She's awesome. She's
sick, which I like.
Sick Death.
It is sick Death. I just thought it was wicked. Like, obviously, she's I don't want to go into too many spoilers, but you'd never think you'd find Death dealing with the problems of morality and being human and stuff like that. So it was really interesting. It was a great twist, and it was. I didn't want it to end, like, and the way it did, I was like, this comic's great, like, to begin with, and then it kind of just drew you in and stuff like that. And you've got like the Ivory Tower. It was
the one thing I've got to thank you guys for and Killer Comics is the fact that it's made me realize that as a comic reader, I love comics that make me think. That actually, after I finished it, I stop and I go, wait a second, what have I just read there?
Yeah.
This book and Haha were those two books this week. So yeah, stunning.
No, but honestly, I think I totally agree with you. Like, and the way I've like kind of set this up tonight is the way that I read the comics this week. And once reading Marvel, I was like, oh my God, I've really set myself up for a fall here, quite literally, from reading this comic. But this is, again, I think maybe we should call this the Indie Killer Comic Show, because every single week, week after week, episode after episode, we are shouting from the rooftops how amazing indie comics are. Like, Marvel and DC should find a new pathway after the King in Black fiasco, unless Venom's going to pick up and do something major. I think
So I hope you don't mind, Charlie, but this is an open invitation for Ram V to come on the Killer Comic Show, because we would love to have a chat with you and talk about this book.
Absolutely.
100%. Like, I'd love to get him on, because I think that's an hour and a half, 2 hours worth of talking about this book alone, because this can open up again. Like, you know, when you look at comics and think, oh, how could this tie into, we've had Berserker, we've had like Something That's Killing the Children, that's tale spun, and it's now going to be like $1 million episodes on Netflix and stuff like this. This is something that you would have started on Bravo or Dave, do you know what I mean? And this would have got the views, like. And if this was to turn into a Netflix deal, I wouldn't be surprised.
Oh yeah, without doubt. Yeah, no, that's a good call.
I mean, visually it would be, and it is, you know, not even would be, you know, like it is even as a comic, you know, visually it's really interesting. And I think, yeah, I mean, if he wants to come on the show, I will cosplay Death.
Yes, not literally, not literally. Not literally though.
I've just got to say one thing though, is that halfway through the comic, I think it's like 7 or 8 pages into the comic, I kind of didn't want to turn over the next page, because I was like, is she actually going to do the unthinkable? And I was like, this is a bit close. Is she actually going to do the unthinkable? And then I was like, I had to take a deep breath before I turned over the page, and then thankfully it didn't happen. But yeah, it's comics like that draw the emotion from the reader and make you think this is why I love comics. This is why I'm reading comics. I don't even
think it was that deep a moment for me. If anything, I found it quite funny. It's kind of like, you know, in Endgame where Rhodey is saying, hold on, why don't we just go back to when Thanos was, you know, and yeah, I think that real kind of dark sense of humor came across.
I think we can all agree sorry, Andy, to cut you off. I think we can all agree that
No,
after this, Ram V is still the man.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Sean has just reminded me of one of my top books last year, which is Blue and Green. So I've been bigging up that book for a long time, and that is, for me, is the pinnacle of Ram V's work. So if you haven't read that, please do so. Ben, that's one for you. I think you'd enjoy Blue and Green.
What's it about, mate? And it matches his jumper. Is that blue and green?
I was going to say, is it about my jumper?
Yeah, it's actually a story about a drummer, and it's a it sort of his psychological fight with himself to become the best drummer that he possibly could be. So it's got that sort of musical element. It's kind of like the comic version of Soul. If you've seen Soul, the movie, that's how I kind of likened it to. But
Soul gave me an existential crisis for about a week after I watched it.
Right. Okay. That's another show for us then. That's an hour and a half conversation with Ben.
Yeah, you've said it before. This is therapy, Andy. This show.
Oh, without a doubt, yeah, 100%, yeah.
Oh, it is, and I'm really. Does anyone know if this is a 6 or a 12? I mean, I could see this being a 12. It's very interesting. The way that it ended, I'm eager to read number 2 by far.
This is five issues, I think. This one.
It's only 5.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah. Well, thanks for
disappointing you.
Thanks for disappointing me there, mate.
Yeah, it's not the first time, to be fair, Charlie, but it won't be the last.
It's not. We've got some new people in the chat who haven't joined us for a while. We've got Comic Burrito all the way from the States. Tyler is still here, and we've got MJ Comics. Sorry, I'm late, guys. Just got home from work. I think Andy. I think if Andy was still working, if he weren't working from home, I think he would have just been getting in there. He's been swamped.
Secretly I'm working. I've got my other screen opened and I'm working away here. No, I'm joking. Thank goodness.
But what comic have we got next? I think we have.
You tell me, Charlie.
We've got Old Gar's Tales. Let's do Old Gar's Tales. This was my comic. So I was drawn to this because obviously, if you don't know already, this has become a massive film on Netflix starring the incredibly hot Charlize Theron for the Old Guard. Now, obviously, this is
recognized the name.
Yeah, so this is like basically it's the star-studded anthology. I think I said that right. Anthology event. So this isn't the first comic that's come out from the Old Guard. It's quite an old run and stuff. But I think this is now with how the film's gone over on Netflix. I think more people have kind of thought more about it. And this is obviously the Old Guard's house through time. So it ties in with the mystics of time travel and not being able to age and stuff like that. It is. I really liked it. Like the artwork, the stories. The only thing that me and Andy, we both spoke about this, is that I wish that I tend to love and hate. There's like the Batman comics as of late. There's been the main story, and then there's been a 3-page issue at the end of a separate story. This comic for me splits it right down the middle. It's a 50-50 split. You get one story, and then it totally changes pace and goes to another story. I would rather, reading this comic, that it had stuck to the first story, because I think there was so much more involvement with the characters and more history of the story itself, of the Old Guard. It told the history of like the weapons she had and where it come from and everything like that. I would much rather read that, and then issue 2 covered over like Nikolai and stuff like that.
Ben?
I agree with Charlie to an extent. I think, to be honest, I think either story would have been fine for them to have made the whole issue about, and I kind of, either story would have been fine. I think the fact of the matter is both stories didn't have the time to fully draw me in. It moved along before I could even. It changed scene before it set the scene, if that makes sense. So, the panels were so kind of, it just felt very kind of jarring and sporadic, and I struggled actually. And I think the moment I start struggling, I then kind of zone out a bit, and then you kind of get to, you know it, guys, skimming. And I might have got to the skimming stage with this, I'm afraid to say.
Do we have like a skimmer alert or some sort of flashing thing whenever we...
Charlie, next week we need a skimmer alert button.
Need a skimmer alert.
Yes.
Yeah, that comes up.
I'll get that sorted.
And I think what didn't help with that is that it was quite unimpressive artwork to me. It's quite interesting talking about Layla. That artwork was stylized, but it was it felt very definite in what it wanted to be. This didn't feel stylized, it felt unfinished.
Woo!
So see, I like the artwork.
For me.
I preferred the artwork in the first story than the second one. Like I could have done without the second one. If this was 29 pages of the first story, I would have enjoyed it. Like I was into that. I was absorbed in that first story. I really, really liked it. Like, because I like all the TV shows like the Vikings and everything like that. So Greek mythology and all that stuff. I was really engaged in that. The second story, which is basically, so obviously cover A is by Lindro Fernandez, which basically this is the first story. Then you've got cover B by Kamagni. Yeah, Kamagni. We'll go with that. That's the second story. And then cover C, which is the battlefield variant. If you take away this story, you've got a whole story of this, which I would much rather enjoy it. It just frustrates me why they feel they have to put two stories in. I don't understand it.
I did enjoy the set. Like I loved the setting of the second story, and I thought the love story was like, really kind of, it played out nicely in the moments that they did have, but the moments were too fleeting, and I kind of didn't have the time to really learn who those characters were and what they're about and what their intentions are and stuff like that. So,
but who doesn't love a fleeting wave of emotion, Ben?
Well, let's be honest. Every relationship until I met my wife would be described as that.
Is that not the premise of the Killer Comics? A fleeting wave of emotion.
Andy, I'm interested to see what you got liked about this comic because I don't think you liked it. You blamed me for this.
I'm glad you asked, Charles. I'm glad you asked.
I've been called Charles. I'm in trouble.
Right for it.
Yeah, strap in, lads, so to speak.
Strap on or strap in,
however you like it. So yes, the original Old Guard series was stunning. It was fantastic. The movie was great. I enjoyed it. For me, this was a complete and utter cash grab from Image. I'm going to use the word again. It was pointless. They had two stories which I'll describe as nice. They were nice, but again, I'm with you guys. Is that we got 10 pages in, and I was wanting more of them. I was wanting to see what was going to happen with it. I guess the mistake that I made was that I didn't read the foreword, the first page of this book, where it says, here are two stories about the Old Guard myth. I didn't mind the artwork. I thought the artwork was fine. I thought the colour work was stunning, and especially in the first story. You can imagine yourself actually there, But again, it was the fleeting emotion was just a little bit of disappointment. And I blame you, Charlie, for picking it.
I'm happy to take that blame because, for me, I will be buying this cover, and I will be buying cover C as well. But I don't know if you guys understand why.
Come on, Charlie, get cover B. That's what we are. We won't tell.
No, but the only reason I won't get cover B is because I didn't like that story. I liked the other two, but I just didn't like that story. I don't want to be remembered of it. I've read the comic once. I'm not going to read it again. I like them covers. I just don't understand why so many publishers, DC have started this. They keep doing these two stories. You don't need to do it. Just stick to one story.
Is this going to be more stories, or is it going to be these stories continue?
I don't see how
I don't care, but
I was literally going to say the same thing, Ben. I don't even care. For me, the second story was the more interesting and intriguing one, to be honest, Charlie. I that was the one where I thought, do you know what, I would like to see where that went, especially a little twist at the end as well. I thought, oh, this is quite an interesting story, but I'm just surprised I finished this one, to be honest.
MJ's the same as you. I don't care. So it's just me that like this comic. But that's it, right? Because I thought I would go for something sweet. I'd go for something normally like safe and stuff. I see this comic. I was like, I'm going to go for something different, and I'm glad I did.
Oh, with that too, yeah.
For the first part, because the second part I didn't enjoy. I didn't enjoy it, and I'm gutted about that because it kind of taints the fact of the first one. The artwork for me in the first issue, in the first comic, was great. I loved it. It fit the story, and then obviously the comic number 2, story number 2, the artwork fit that as well. I just wish the old guard for me is the first issue.
The thing is, they're two completely separate genres, almost. Like, you know, they both had different time settings, different art, different. You know, it needed to be two different books, really.
And what's going on here?
I mean, for me, honestly, that it's like Frank Miller, like. But like on a really bad day, and people give Frank Miller stick on the best of days.
Yeah,
I love him personally. But it was not.
Andy,
not
there's a bit in the comic where she has I can't remember what she calls it. Does she call it a labis? Her sword or whatever she has, and it the way she's holding it, it projects onto her face, and it makes her look like a horse.
Yeah, that's in the same panel actually. Is this one?
Oh, it is that one. Yeah, see, look at that. Doesn't it like I found that interesting. I was looking at that thinking it's made her look like a horse because she was just previously talking about how she was on horseback and how she was like getting like I went really deep with this comic.
I think you're clutching at straws, Charlie.
On that, I think we should just move on to the next comic, which is right. So there was 6 covers out this week. I think there were 6 covers out this week. We had cover A by Patrick Horvath, cover B by Michael Shea, cover C by Shintaro Kago. We had the Ultra Raw 26 Virgin variant. We had the Wanted Comics, which was the John Gallagher trade set cover A, limited to 600 pieces. And then we had the Wanted Comics John Gallagher Virgin set cover B, limited to 500.
Featuring
Andy. These are sensational. These John Gallagher ones, I think I messaged you guys about 3 weeks ago. These are already going for around £90 on eBay already. This Ultra 26 Virgin variant, I haven't been able to find anywhere.
I didn't even know that existed. That is,
it's incredible. And have you noticed, right? So this is really intelligent what they've done here, because obviously they've got Gustav. Is it Gustav? It is Gustav.
Gustav, yeah.
Yeah, Gustav. They've got him here holding on to the clown's nose, which obviously signifies the balloon in the comic. This is just Andy walking home from a long day at the office.
That's me walking home from Thought Bubble in November.
Guys, if you didn't watch our charity fundraiser for Red Nose Day, basically Andy dressed up as the clown from issue 1. Am I right? Yep. And it was spot on, and basically haunted the dreams of many a man that evening.
It was a great dress up, and I'm gonna find the link for it, and I'm literally just gonna drop it in there now, because this was a video that you need to see. It was amazing. Make sure you check it out, because Andy went all out with that. It was incredible. But right, so we spoke in depth about. I even reached out to W. Maxwell Prince, in it. W. Maxwell. I reached out to W. Maxwell and said, is issue number 3 of Ha Ha going to get a second print? Because the second prints are amazing. They're great. He confirmed, no, it's not happening. And I think I kind of understand why, because number 3 was my least favourite issue. Number 3 was kind of...
I loved issue 3. I've
Really?
I loved all the issues. But I guess well, you kind of know what you were getting into with issue 3. The fact it was a mime artist. So yeah, I totally loved it. But I thought
I preferred issue 3 to this.
Really?
What?
Are you serious? No way, mate. Are you?
No,
come on,
no.
Benjamin.
I'll tell you what. Let me say what I've got to say, and then I'm actually coming into this discussion really interested to see what you guys have to say, and I'm kind of wanting to have like a moment of like realization, really, because I felt like the whole time I was reading this, it was like there's going to be that like light bulb moment of like, oh, it makes sense, and he's there, but he's not actually there. It's a metaphor for this, and I kind of never got that. Like, and I don't know whether I'm being a bit dumb, but I never kind of got what it was they were trying to say. I really loved that story of the granddad and the child, and I thought those moments played out in such a kind of beautifully tender way. And I think Maxwell Prince has such a kind of great ability to write human emotion, and kind of write those interactions in a realistic way. So I really enjoyed that. But the clown stuff I just didn't, and I was trying to think, look at it, with an abstract eye as much as I possibly could, and I just couldn't. And I didn't like the artwork, but I think that does come down to taste, because I love that artwork in issue 3, which is very kind of cartoon, clean lines, clean bold lines, and this it is certainly a little bit more, it's like watercolors and things like that, isn't it? So yeah. So, tell me what I missed.
Let me tell you my theory, and I think I said this on Instagram and in our chat, that I think the beauty of Haha is that each issue that you read, everybody can take something a little bit different away from it. I think it's fair to say in every issue that we've read, there's been an element of the inner workings of the mind, shall we say. So there's been a very much a mental health awareness piece about all of this. And for me, this was a stunning issue by Haha. And what I took from it is that it starts with the premise that everything floats. And without giving too much spoilers away, we follow the red balloon. So for me, that was a metaphor. The red balloon was a metaphor for the mind. And the fact that everything floats is that all your issues and all your problems kind of are raised to the top and sort of stay in your mind. So whenever we were seeing the clown in that balloon, that was a manifestation of all his worries, all his horrors, all his fears. That was his mental health inside that balloon, and that's what we were seeing. And the side story to that with the wasn't about the little boy and the mother. It was all about the grandfather who had lost his wife and the mental struggle that he's going with. So the
was
fact
it the grandfather's mental health, the balloon, or the boy?
It's everybody's mental health. It was just a metaphor for the mind, and the fact that all your worries and stresses can raise up to your mind, and it's a manifestation. It just sits there. So whenever we were seeing the clown inside that balloon, that was basically his worst fears and his mental health that we were actually seeing. That's what I took from it. Just blowing your mind, Ben.
No, but I think, Andy, I think you'd like Gore Vidal. Welcome, sir. Thank you very much for joining. He said, I've read the first 3 Haha issues and think it's human tragedy disguised as horror.
Yeah.
He comes, he dropped the mic.
That's much more. He's articulated it much better than I just did there. But I think he's absolutely spot on.
And Gore Vidal, this is actually the first one that has a somewhat happyish ending. I really enjoyed this. Like, this was all human emotion. Like, this is coming from the writer of The Ice Cream Man. Let's not forget that. There's going to be some subliminal messages in it. This is, as Andy said, it is a very clear-cut story. For me, I kind of got it straight away. Like, the balloon signifies all your hopes and dreams, your emotions, your mental stability, and everything that you kind of. For me, it was like everything you kind of lock up inside and don't want to share. It all floats. It's all in your head. It all goes away. You try and push these feelings of emotion. You try and get rid of it. You try and distance yourself from it and get it all away. And one time or another, it's going to come back. And for Gustav, he obviously disappeared with inside himself into the balloon and stuff. And without giving too much away, it's kind of like you kind of understand where he's coming from, because every single issue of Ha Ha has been a different message. But I think by the time we get to issue 6, they're all going to come full circle, and it's all going to kind of, you're going to kind of understand what it is. It's a great story. Issue 4 for me was amazing. The way that you kind of get a impression of what the granddad's like and what he's already gone through before you've even met him, you kind of already feel for him. Mm-hmm. So by the time you do get to that and you follow this red balloon, I was absorbed, as I am with all Ha Ha books. I mean, issue 3 was the weakest one, but I still read it 2 or 3 times.
I think in issue 4 as well, you got to be mindful as well, is that they talk about the fact that he's got a drinking problem, that he's clearly lost his mum and dad as well, Gustav. So I guess at the very start, he disappears from the party, so that the kids' party. So again, that's, for me, that was a metaphor for him wanting to completely disappear from the planet and float away. I thought it was some strong imagery that it was putting in, and that just might be my in my head, but I would strongly advise, if you haven't picked this book up, to give it a go and see what you actually make of it, and see what. And this is an open invite to Maxwell Prince as well. If whenever he is free, I'd love to delve into Ha Ha and Ice Cream Man and have a good chat with him. So there's the second invite for today, Charlie.
Go for it. Feel free. It's our show, so go for it. But I think issue 6 ties in with Ice Cream Man as well. So I think for the cover, for the actual story concept, possibly, it all ties into the same story arc and stuff. And he's put that on his Instagram wall as well. So Gore Vidal said, in the 90s, there was a series, Beautiful Stories for Ugly Children, was the title, which ran for about 30 issues. The first issue was about
ugly tragedy, not children.
Yeah. No, it says Beautiful Stories for Ugly Children was the title. Right, so in the 90s, there was a series, Beautiful Stories for Ugly Children was the title, not Ugly Tragedy. Whatever. The first issue was about road clowns and their sad, pathetic lives, and yet they all try to find joy. This is
and don't we all try to find joy in life? That's kind of the end game, isn't it?
I think for me, I would have liked. I really like your idea around it, Andy. I just kind of wish that was not spelt out, because I think it's always nice to have that element of interpretation, but just to kind of at least have seen Gustav leaving the party, physically seeing him just like leave or whatever, and then that way I could have gone right, because at this point, if it was a metaphor for the little boy's brain, then what would have been nice is that if the clown slightly looked like the little boy, and then it was kind of like a reveal at the end where it really, it is him. Or on the flip side, if it was about the brain of the granddad and his grief and everything like that, then have the clown slightly look like the granddad and have that kind of reveal. I never got that moment where I went, oh, that's cool, and then thought about it, but I do think it was still beautifully wrote, and I think it is a really kind of interesting take on mental health struggles, and it's not the first time Ha Ha has done that. Like I think issue 2 for me was a real oh, wow, okay, yeah, you kind of get it. So yeah, I commend Maxwell Prince on kind of the themes that he's exploring here, because he's getting it right.
I mean,
which is not easy.
No, I mean, I think it's amazing the fact that the comic's called Ha Ha, yet some of the stories are so dark and mental health orientated that it's.
Yeah, I thought this was going to be a comedy.
Yeah.
Right,
Exactly.
It's such a great play on. I mean, Cover B by Michael Shea is probably my favourite one, other than the John Gallagher ones. I quite like that one.
Yeah, I think all the covers sort of have their own merit. I guess it's one again. It's another cover A is another one where you understand it more. It's not just a wacky clown floating. You know, you get once you've read the story, you get the premise of what it's actually all about. There we go. That's the one I picked up as well. Cover A.
This is like looking at it close. It is great. It is basically just signifies the whole thing, and it's just.
Well, you got that quick.
Yeah, I literally got it. When did I buy it?
You stole it?
No, I bought it on Monday from Comic Biz. If you need to buy your comics,
they get stuff out so quick.
Literally, it's 1 to 3 days, free shipping, Royal Mail. Ordered that on Monday, and it came today.
Comic Biz arguably have the best social media.
Oh my god,
the comic stores.
Yeah, they do.
Shout out to Comic Biz.
Massive shout out to Comic Biz. And they also helped me out with the Harley Quinn issue number 6 for the Katana Collins interview as well. I literally did that 2 days before, and they got it with me the next day. So massive shout out to them. But these, like, I'm definitely going to pick up more covers of this. I'm hoping this one will go to a second print as well, because you can see behind me we've got issue. That's issue number 2, isn't it? The Zoe,
that's true. Yeah.
Thorogood one. That was great. But this, I want these 2 covers. I can't be. They're probably over like £150 now. And if I was able,
don't encourage these people who are selling these variants at those prices.
And if I was able to find this Ultra Raw 26 Virgin cover, that's insane.
I think if I was going for them, I'd go for the Virgin John Gallagher cover, and if I ever did meet Maxwell Prince, I'd get a luminous pink Sharpie and get him to sign that on the front. Yeah. That would just be stunning.
That would be.
See, guys, I'm buzzing for the next issue because it features. I don't even know the story. All I've seen is the images of that little old lady with the clown makeup on.
Sold. Yeah.
I
already know it's going to be hilarious.
I reckon she's got to be robbing banks or something, hasn't she? She's got to be doing something.
Going to be great.
It's going to be. It reminds me of a kid's book called My Gangster Granny by David Williams.
Yeah, my daughter's read that. Yeah.
It's got. Honestly, I think it ties into some of the same premises there, so I'm looking forward to that. But this, I think,
mine's 9 months, so I'm still at Hey Dougie stage.
You mean you're at Hey Dougie stage?
I've been at Hey Dougie stage a long time.
But honestly, I think we've ended on a high. If we just go back through and we went over Women of Marvel, which was like, we get skip past that. Then we had Layla Starr, definitely worth a read if you guys haven't read that yet. We've got the Old Guard, Tales Through Time, which I enjoyed it. The other 2, my 2 colleagues didn't. And then we've got Ha Ha, which was incredible.
Yeah,
I really liked it.
Layla Starr is going to be my read of the week, guys.
You think? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I had it as my pick of the week as well. But for me, the read of the week is definitely is Ha Ha. It was a very close week for me. But yeah, I think we're just very lucky to have those books out at the minute. Considering everything else that we read today, it was nice to be able to read those 2 books. The other 2, yeah.
Well, Sean just said the Ultra Raw is on eBay, but only in the US at the moment. Yeah, see, the shipping costs are going to cost an absolute fortune.
I'll get it sent to my Stackery.
Stackery. I might go to my US and then pay £25 to get it over here. But it is. It's that time. It is. It's been missing for a couple of weeks. It is.
Can I just point something out just before we do that?
Go on.
So
mate.
just remember the conversation we had with the first comic, and the heated debate that we had on that, and just take a breath, take a moment, just to consider the next steps that you make, Charles. That's all I'm saying. Ben, Just saying. You're on mute, Charlie.
Well, I can't do it then, can I? Really? Let's be honest.
It's entirely up to you, Charlie. It's entirely up to you.
So
much pressure.
It's a bit of a laugh. It's a bit of a laugh, right? And I've put a bit of effort into this, so I'm going to go with it.
It is called the Killer Comic Show after all. Let's do it.
It is. Right, yeah, here we go. Peach of the week. Yeah, I don't see why we just don't go with it. Like let's women are killing it in comics at the moment. They are smashing it. Fantastic cover artists, writers, everything. Other than the Marvel women, we're
just show us your peach, Charlie. The more you dig the hole.
Here we go. Right, so I've gone for 3 this week. Right, I've gone for 3. We've got Girls of Dimension 13, issue 1. This was the first page, and it says there, amazing. We've got Girls of Dimension 13, issue 1. Where do you pieces of shit think you're going? See, again, women killing it, knowing their role, knowing like they are empowering women. This is it. And then we've got Vengeance of Vampirella, number 17. This was quite nice.
Can you just take that cursor away, Charlie, please?
Oh, sorry.
Thanks.
So yeah, I mean, it was a pretty strong week. Pretty strong week. And then we've got Ben's entry, which I've got to say.
Ben's entry.
I've got to say, right, this is it. I always arrive at the end or the rear, as you may say. And this is, look, who doesn't love a peach, right? But I've got to say, me and Ben debated about this. It's really weird to say me and Ben debated about Ben's rear, but he sent me one. I said, are you really going to go with that? And then he sent me a picture of why he's going with that, and I kind of got it. And it was this one. How do we, let's show
the peach first, at least.
I'm trying, there we go.
Okay.
So we get 2 for the price of 1 here.
This week. So last week, can I say, guys, I had a really fantastic entry for Peach of the Week. It was a hairy male behind from the Karma series, and it was just so, like, I could almost smell the sweat just by looking at it. It was a great entry into Peach of the Week, but unfortunately, we didn't have that last week. This week, I struggled a lot more, and I've got a thing for Velma, okay, and I just picked a picture, if I'm quite honest. It's no secret I got a thing for Velma, and I have tributed the character to the best of my abilities in the past as well. So I presume, Charlie, you've got that there from the sounds of it.
3 arses.
Didn't know this was going to happen.
No,
I thought it was a private conversation between 2 friends.
Honestly, I haven't got that. That will
Oh, yeah, okay, that's fine. Then that's fine.
That will haunt my nightmares forever.
Well, I sent Charlie a picture basically featuring yours truly. Yeah, it was a tribute to Velma more than anything. And Andy, I'll ping it over to you.
I don't know if it was.
I'm good.
No. You're getting it.
I don't know if it was a tribute to Velma or an insult. I'm still debating it, but it was. Yeah, I was shocked. I'll never look at Scooby-Doo the same. Let's put it that way. But it's been a great show. Thanks for everyone that joined in the chat. Thanks to Andy, that one. Thanks to Ben. As always, we're going to go through and we're going to go with Andy first. You can tell us what you've got coming up on your show, if you've got anything coming up on your show, if you're planning an impromptu. I'm just trying to think, does that even make sense if you're planning an impromptu show? I guess it doesn't.
Makes sense.
It doesn't.
I have absolutely nothing planned. I say the same every single week. Work has just been absolutely crazy, so that's the reason why I haven't done any impromptu shows. But if you go here, this is my Instagram, and I would love you guys to go over and give me a follow. And if you do feel like it, you can go and sub me up on YouTube as well. Thanks.
There we go. Right, so that's Andy done, and then we shall go over to Benjamin.
Thank you. Yes, head over to my Instagram at Attention Seeking Geek for the usual kind of cosplay, comics, and me, Crampton. And then on a Sunday at 5 o'clock, Crampton's Covers goes live. So I've got a really weird episode this week, even by my standards. I watched it back, and I hope my doctor doesn't see it. Let's put it that way. So yeah, that's what's coming up. And I bought an amazing figure. A statue rather of Colossus. So I don't usually do unboxings on my channel, but I did a bonus unboxing video. So if you're the sort of loser who watches those, then head over to my channel.
But Ben looks a wee bit like an alternative Dennis the Menace with that top on.
He does, doesn't he?
I'm his arch nemesis. Ben, the slightly mischievous.
Venomous.
I'm just dropping all of your links in the chat.
I need to workshop the name a little bit.
Yeah. We'll work on it.
Yeah.
I've got the who have we got coming up? We've got I've just dropped the wrong link in the bloody chat. Don't want that one. I don't know.
Who the hell's Perry Comics?
Oh, we're dropping Perry Comics as well, but I don't.
Big up to Perry Comics.
Perry Comics just got a free plug.
He did indeed. But this is the main man that I was trying to get into the comics. There we go. But yeah, so we've got coming up on the show next week, and it ties in very well with Ben's video. I'm not going to give too much away, but we've got a pretty fantastic vest. Fantastic vest. We can all wear fantastic vest. Why not? We've got a pretty fantastic guest on next week. It is David.
Stakes are definitely high though.
The stakes are high, and next week we have. I'm just going to say it because I'm excited about it. It's David Bryan, who is the co-publisher of Scout Comics and the writer of Stake, a up-to-date modern vampire read, which is pretty decent. We've got issue 2 came out this week, so yeah, we'll be reviewing that next week, which is going to be pretty interesting.
Next week,
yes. Issue 2 is out next week. Yes, it is. There's 3 fantastic covers for it.
Nice.
You can see them on my show at 12 p.m. on Monday.
Segue.
But go on, Andy. What was you going to say, mate?
Wasn't going to say anything. No, I was so looking forward to all the shows that we have up. We've got some fantastic guests, and I would just like, and on all our behalfs, to wish Tom the best of luck tomorrow.
Yes.
He's doing great. So yeah, big up to Tom, and we're looking forward to having him back in the squad.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it's going to be good having him back because obviously next week we've got David Bryan. The week after that, I'm just looking at the schedule now. I think a couple of weeks after that we have
Rich.
We've got Richard Dueck and Alex Cormack, who are Sea of Sorrows writers. They've done some fantastic stuff. So we've got them on. And then it's us 4. It'll be us 4 on the 13th. And then on the 20th, we have the fantastic John Boyan Mayers, who's going to be joining us. So that's going to be a great show. So make sure you check out for that. That's going to be pretty decent. All the guests coming lined up, and everything we've got coming up on the Killer Comic Show, and also on your Instagrams, YouTubes and stuff like that. We've got loads of stuff coming up, so make sure you check in. Thanks to everyone in the chat. It's been another fantastic Thursday night, and if we don't see you for a week, I'll see you through the attention-seeking perpetual geeky guy window. See you later, guys.